Welcome back. So today, instead of looking at a line in slope-intercept form where we have the m and the b, again, that's the most common way in Algebra 1 we look at looking at a line and evaluating it and graphing it. We could be given some different information, and there's another equation we can use to make it a lot easier to either graph or solve or put into an equation. Whether it's eliminating some fractions and decimals, or just an easier setup altogether. And it's called the point-slope form. Now we want to focus on using the point-slope form when we are given a specific point and we have the slope, or it's easy to obtain the slope. And from this, if we want, we can go ahead and change it into y equals mx plus b into that format. But again, that'll be another lesson. So when we're looking at this, our equation is y minus y1 equals m parenthesis x minus x1. Now comparing it to slope the y equals mx plus b, which is here. Let's see what's the same. We still have a y value, which is here. We still have an m value, which is here. We still have an x value, which is there. The only new things are the x1 and y1, which is the points that we will be using. So once we can identify the point and the point and the slope, I should say, we can simply plug it into this equation, and it makes it a lot easier for us. So here's our first problem. And you want to make sure you write this down and become familiar with it. Right? Y minus y1 equals m minus x1. Remember those subtraction signs. Those are important. So here's our first problem. Remember, m equals our slope. The x1 and y1 are the point we can use. So the problem is, it's passing through this point 1 and negative 4 and has a slope of 3. So I'm going to set this up and write it out first so we can see it. So y minus y1. My y1 value is negative 4. So we know we always keep the y, and I plug in the negative 4. Mind you, we still have a minus sign here. We'll clean this up after we plug everything in. Equals, our slope was 3. The x stays, and I plug in my x value of minus 1. Now, because we have a double negative, we have to change this to a plus. And our final equation is y plus 4 equals 3 parentheses x minus 1. There's our equation. As long as we can identify and use it the correct way, we have an easy equation to use. The important thing is to remember where the minuses go. Looking at number 2, I know it's y minus equals parenthesis x minus. Get this stuff, get the negatives out of the way. Like I tell my class almost every day, you understand the negatives and get your negatives right, your grade increases by 10%. So we look at this. My y value is 5, plug a 5 in here. My m value, negative 3/4. My x1 value is negative 2. Remember, minus negative 2. We need to clean this up. So let's clean up our final answer. And there's our equation. Now, there might be a time when we have to graph this. This is an example where it's going to be a lot easier keeping it in point-slope form because it's not passing through a y-intercept that's an integer. It's actually a fraction. And we'll see what happens here. Just like when we're in y equals mx plus b, we always start with the b value. We're going to start with our point. And it's important to look at this, that our point is always the opposite side of the x and y. The point was negative 2, 5. Here, this is x plus 2. It's got to be negative 2 and a positive 5. So we're going to start by plotting this point first. Negative 2 and up 5. So instead of starting on our y-intercept, our starting point is over here. Now this is very different than what we've been talking about before. Now we count our slope. Negative 3 means we go down 3 units, down to here, and we run to the right. Remember, we always run to the right 4 units. Now again, my chicken scratch handwriting and chicken scratch graph that I created looks a little bit like that. Again, as you can see, if I draw my line, it's not really going through an integer here. It's a little bit above the 3. But that's what the line would look like. Makes it a lot easier to use than worrying about fractions. Now looking at number 3. Instead, we're given the equation. Y plus 3 equals negative 2x minus 4. Important thing, identify your point and the slope. Let's do the easy thing. Let's figure out our slope. Our slope's there, that's outside the parentheses, so my slope's negative 2. Now my point, again, the x value, what's going to make this equal to 0? It's a positive 4. And it's the opposite sign of what's going on here. Opposite sign of here is negative 3. So now if we want to graph this, we start at the point 4, negative 3. About right there. And now we start from here with our slope. Down 2, run to the right 1. And I can graph my line through my 2 points. And there we go. So when you're looking at these equations, think about what you have. If you're given the slope and the y-intercept, use that equation. Let's make math easy for us. But if you're given a point and a slope, let's use that formula. See you next time.